Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we are on the second chapter of this book, Perfect Question, Perfect Answers. The title of the chapter is Vedic Culture, Varnashrama Dharma. Chapter 1, we saw Bob Cohen asking what questions, what is Krishna, and exactly, what is rasa, and so many different things he was asking about understanding Lord and his energies. So now he has another question. It's another day, February 28, 1972. So Bob asked a question. Like this, the entire conversation of perfect question, perfect answers was in 3 days. Okay. So Bob asked a question. I have asked devotees about how they feel towards sex in their relations. And I see the way they feel, but I can't see myself acting the same way. See, I'll be getting married at the end of the summer. He was sharing with Prabhupada. So he must have talked with devotees, and devotees must have expressed their views, which are the Vedas views, Vedic views about physical relationships. And Bob was feeling a little uneasy with this idea. So he was expressing to Prabhupada that I'll be getting married soon. The Prabhupada replies, hmm? And Bob explains, I'll be getting married at the end of this summer, in September or August, when I return to America. And the devotees say that the householders only have sex to conceive a child. So, as we have read earlier in the first introduction, Bob later goes back to America, gets married, and he and his wife later both take initiation from Srila Prabhupada. So here Prabhupada is saying that I heard devotees say that physical relationships is just meant for conceiving or begetting children. And he says, I cannot picture myself at all in such a position. What kind of sex life can a devotee lead living in the material world? Srila Prabhupada then explains. The Vedic principle is that one should avoid sex life altogether. Okay, this is the bottom line rule of the Vedas. The whole Vedic principle is to get liberation from material bondage. There are different attachments for material enjoyment, right? So many kinds of attachment, material enjoyment from all the senses, taste, sound, hearing, of which sex life is the topmost. So the goal of this whole, our purpose or our existence in this material world is to come out of the material world, right? And the most powerful bonding attachment force is physical relationships. Prabhupada continues to say, the Bhagavatam says that in this material world, man is attached to woman and woman is attached to man. Pumsha striya mituni bhavam etam. So we're going to look at the shloka, although Srila Prabhupada later in the conversation quotes it, but just for our discussion now, we'll look at it. This is the fifth canto, fifth chapter, eighth verse, right? So teachings of Lord Rishabhadev to his son, beautiful section. So here Prabhupada quotes this verse. Pumsa means man, striya means woman, mituni bhavam etam. They have a sexual attraction, mituni, maitunam. Tayor mito hrida grantim ahu. Tayor means both of them are tied both way by a knot in the heart. Hridaya granti. So when man and woman come together, they get attached. Both are actually bound to each other. It's like knots at two ends. If there's a knot only in one place, you cut and you're free. But this is knot from both sides. Right? Both are bound. And then what happens? Ataha. After that, Graha, house comes. Kshetra, land comes. Suta, children come. Apta, relatives comes. Vitte, wealth comes. And like this, Janasya mohoyam aham mameti. And such persons are bound by moha, which means illusion of aham mameti, I and mine. So this is the formula, the recipe of illusion. Man, woman come together, they are bound by sexual union, they are bound, their hearts, emotions are bound, knots from both sides. And then the illusion expands, thinking that house, home, family, children, relatives, this, that. And a person only has a thinking of I and mine. This is mine, my family, my wife, my this, my that. There's a very nice Sanskrit subhashit. Subhashita means proverb or saying or, a quote in Sanskrit. Some shloka comes. So there's a nice way. It says, Ashanam me, Vashanam me, Jayo me, Bandhu Vargo me, Iti me kurvanam, Hanti Vrikodaraha, Kala Vrikodaraha. So the Subhashit is explaining, this Subhashit, this saying is explaining that a person says, Ashanam me, this is my food. Vasanam me, this is my dress. Jayo me, this is my wife. Bandhu Vargo me, these are my children, my family. Iti me kurvanam. And like this, he makes the sound me. What animal makes the sound meh, meh? Goat, right? The goat. And what happens to the goat? Kala, in the form of time, Hanti Vrikodaraha. He comes as the butcher and cuts the goat. So all of us in this life, we are also doing meh, meh, meh. This is mine, that is mine, my food, my house, my wife, my wealth, my country, my car. So we are doing like this, and ultimately time comes like a butcher and slaughters us even without we are noticing it. If anyone goes to butcher shops, you see wherever they have live animals, they will tie the goat right beside another goat which is being slaughtered. The other goat is seeing, but he's not running away. What the illusion, if here in human society, you catch a man and someone shoots him or kills him, 10,000 people run away. But the goat is watching the goat in front of him getting slaughtered, and it is still eating grass, thinking that that will not happen to me. Right? And then its turns comes, right? So like this, Prabhupada is quoting this verse. Let's read ahead. Prabhupada says not only in human society, in animal society also, that attachment is the basic principle of material life. So a woman is hankering for or seeking after the association of man. And a man is hankering for or seeking after the association of woman. All the fiction novels, dramas, cinemas, and even ordinary advertisements that you see simply depict the attachment between man and woman. Right? This is the reality in today's marketing, digital age also. Right? Even if someone wants to buy or sell a book, there'll be some lady standing to show the book. Someone wants to buy a car, there'll be some lady standing there to sell the car. Why? Because to increase that attachment. So Prabhupada gives a little sobering example. Even in the tailor shop, you will find in the window some woman and some man, some mannequin is there dressed. Why? You just want to buy clothes. Why don't you just hang clothes? No, they have to put a mannequin, a person wearing, because that is very attractive. So this attachment is already there. Bob asks, attachment between man and woman? Prabhupada says, yes. So if you want to get liberation from this world, then attachment should be reduced to nil. Otherwise, simply further attachment. You have to take rebirth either as a human being or as a demigod, as an animal, a serpent, a bird, or a beast. You will have to take birth. So as long as you have attachment, as long as we have attachment, we have to take birth again. One time Srila Prabhupada was saying to his disciples, even if you have attachment for one rasagula, eating one sweet, oh, you really want to eat it. Again, you have to take birth just to eat that rasagula. So Prabhupada continues to say, this is the basic principle of increasing attachment. Sorry, this basic principle of increasing attachment is not our business, although it is a general tendency. It is the default conditioning of the jiva in the material world to go for this. But we have to go to our original default, which is the settings in the spiritual world. Griha, Kshetra, Sutta, home, land, and children. But if one can reduce or at least stop it, that is first class. Therefore, our Vedic system is to first of all train a boy as a brahmachari, no sex life. The Vedic principle is to reduce attachment, not increase it. Therefore, the whole system is called Varnashrama Dharma. Now, this is a very interesting discussion. If you look at other religions in the world that currently exist, so although every religion in the world agree that this world is not our place, we do not belong here, we need to come out of this and go back to the kingdom of God, other religions very much promote, right, a life with sexual indulgence. Very much. They say that, oh, get married, have more children, have more wives, whatnot, no problem. This is your dharma, right? This activity of sexual intercourse is actually okay. This because they're dealing with people who are so much indulgent in it. Whereas the Vedic culture understands that this is a kriya, this is an activity that one has to do because one has some desires. But if one can learn to manage, if one can learn to overcome such desires, of which there are ways, then there is no need for this. Because at the end of the day, everyone who has passed their years in this world realized that there was no point in all that anyways. So the Indian system calls for varna and ashrama. Varna means color, which is the social order, and ashrama means shelter or spiritual order. So two things are there, varna and ashrama. For social orders, that is varna, and for spiritual orders, that is ashrama, where you get shelter from to go ahead in your spiritual life. Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas. These are the spiritual orders. Spiritual means these are the places, these are the roles that one can play to help one to advance in spiritual life. And sometimes a person is so much disturbed by lust and desires. Like sometimes we see many people, they're saying from young, they've been desiring, want to get married, want to have a wife, love to have children, love to have a home. So there's so much desire. So that facility is given. You can take up Grahastha ashram, follow its rules, and slowly you will purify your desires. There are people who says that, no, not interested in all this so much. You can take up brahmacharya. Vanaprastha is given for those who were in Grahastha ashram and they feel the need that I've exhausted my desire. Now give me an exit from family life. So the exit of Grahastha is Vanaprastha, where the person just engages in bhajan, right? And austerities. And the culmination of whether brahmachari or vanaprastha is sannyasa, where a person becomes aloof or not dependent on anything material, not dependent on material society, not dependent on material relationships, not dependent on material attachments, civic, like proper civil suicide, right? There's no need for anything. One is totally dependent on God. One moves around and just dependent totally on God. So this is sannyasa. So some people have these natures and these ashrams are there to facilitate these natures so that slowly a person is elevated towards spiritual life. This is a very scientific and systematic system. So this is called the varna ashramas. Now Prabhupada talks about the working people. Now when you're a grahastha, if you look at the first, brahmachari does not work, right? Vanaprastha does not work, sannyasi does not work. The only person is the grahastha. The grahastha is the one working. So the grahastha is 25% of society. 25% of working society is maintaining 75% of the entire society. Can you imagine? That was Vedic system. Nowadays, 99.9% of society is working. And still there's so much poverty and difficulty. Right? So this is the Vedic system, very beautiful. So then what about the varna or the orders of work that a person does? So the social orders consist of brahmanas, these are the intellectuals, kshatriyas, administrators, vaishyas, the merchants, producers, farmers, and shudras, these are the people who create or facilitate things, the workers, right? Like you need lighting to be installed, you need a table to be made, you need beautiful paintings to be made, you need whatever, all they make functionality in life. So four kinds of orders always exist. They are not one better than the other, but everyone has a own calling. Brahmanas are a little detached. They are more intellectual based, not so much sensual. Shudras, they need pride in their work. Right? They are very hands-on, very skillful, very artistic. So all four are needed. You cannot do without any one of them. All four are needed. Right? So Kshatriyas help to maintain and make sure everyone is functioning accordingly. They are the providers of the society, the Kshatriyas, and they're providers in the sense of care and love. Vaishyas are the providers in terms of raw ingredients, resources. They give all that. So that's how society was functioning. So under the system, the regulative principles are so nice that even if one has a tendency to enjoy material life, he is so nicely molded that at last he achieves liberation and go back home, back to God. So Varnashram system is such where a person may have desire, no problem, get married, follow the system of training, follow the system of puja and living your life according to Varnashram, and one will naturally come out of that desire, right? So this is what actual Vedic life is. We do not deny emotions, we do not deny desires, we understand different people have different desires, but there's a system which can cater to all of them, provided they follow the system. So this is the process. So sex life is not required, but because we are attached to it, there are some regulative principles under which it is maintained. So for a grasta, when they get married, right, there are so much vidhis like Garbhadan Samskar, this, that. When they follow all these rules, right, naturally they will rise above their material desires. They will rise out of their material desires if they follow all these rules very nicely. So anyway, the book says that, chanting starts somewhere in the background, someone playing mridanga and conch shell blowing. Okay. Now see, Prabhupada quotes the verse again. Pumsha striya mituni bhavam etam tayor mito hridya grantim ahu ato griha kshetra sutapta vidder janasya moha aham mameti. So Prabhupada says this sex life is the basic principle of material life, attachment for man and woman. And when a man and a woman are united, that attachment becomes increased And that increased attachment will induce one to accumulate graha, kshetra, sutta, apta, vitta. So one was thinking that this is a normal system. How is Varna ashrams protecting a person from this? Because of the rules and the systems, because of the knowledge, right? A person is reading Shastra, understanding the non-permanence of this life, the non-permanence of all these material assets, at the same time being dutiful because you have taken responsibility. So husband and wife is like a business contract. Two business partners come together, they agree that, look, I need you as much as you need me. Let's come together, let us make our business successful. What is the business? Business of developing love for God. You help me, I help you. I'm weak in some areas, you are strong in some areas. Let us try to function with each other. And like that, as a business deal, with the understanding that we are, one day you will have to leave me and I'll have to leave you. So as long as we're together, let us be dutiful. Let us do our duty as business partners, as friends, as co-workers. This is what marriage is about. Unfortunately, today's day, like Prabhupada will speak ahead, right? It is about sensualism, that love is in the air. You are forever mine, I am forever yours. That itself is an illusion. And therefore, sometimes when there's a death of the partner, there's such a big heartache. Definitely, there's some sadness, but not to the point where the other partner kills himself or, becomes so depressed. Understand there is a separation. Best person I had in my life, best partner I had. Okay. Now, anyways, everyone has to fly their own plane at the end of the day. Okay. So Grahastha ashram is that support system for some time, but in that support system, one must learn to develop wings. One must learn to develop independence. One must learn to develop dependence on God, because ahead, the path is going to be a single lane. So in this way, Griha Kshetra Sutapta Vitter, he becomes entangled. Why? Janasya mohoyam. This is illusion. And by this illusion, he thinks, Aham mameti, I am this body, and anything relationship with this body is mine. Right? Like, especially family life, if a person has children, and let's say if the children get bad marks in school, parents feel it as if they have gotten bad marks in school. Now, so many children are there in the school, many people are getting bad marks. But why doesn't the parent feel for other children? Because he doesn't identify that this is my child. Right? He thinks this is my child, so his pain is my pain. But in reality, did you choose the Atma to become your child? Did you mold the body? Did you go to a carpenter, mechanic shop? I want exactly like this. Did you go to God and say, give me such a soul? No, you did not choose. You have no power to choose over the child. Skin color, hair color, eye color, normality, abnormality, no choice. You had no power to control over it. Similarly, the child also did not choose you. There was no business dealing before. The child came to you just as randomly as someone you meet on the street. But identification, aham mameti, I feel that this is mine, right? If you just think logically, sometimes there are children who are adopted by some other parents, and the child does not know entire life that he's been adopted. Sometimes at the age of 40, 50 years old, then you come to know. But still for 40, 50 years, they've been loving their parents as their parents. They never felt anything less. But now after coming, child is thinking that, okay, out of curiosity, I want to know who was my parents. But affection is for these people who have been taking care of me. They are my parents. So affection and attachment is based on what we identify with. If we identify with it material, this is what is called as janasya mohamyam aham mameti. Aham means I, mameti means mine. The moment I identify with something, the pain, the hurt is there in my heart from these attachments. So the whole process of spiritual life, we are getting knowledge, is to become dutiful, not to become overly attached. That does not mean we have no affection or attachment. We do, but not become overly affected or attached. Right? Just like I give another example, like if you have a mobile and you know that today or tomorrow, everyone in their life have experienced dropping the mobile, right? So if in the beginning of your mind, you already said that, today, tomorrow, 6 months down the line, I'm going to one day drop this mobile definitely, and somehow or other the screen is going to crack. So when it actually happens, you understand that, okay, I already prepared for it. It is meant, it's bound to happen, right? One doesn't go, oh, how can it happen to me, right? No one in this world, I think, has not dropped their mobile. So anyways, so Bob asks, what is that again? He got confused with all this. Prabhupada explains. The attachment increases. The material attachment involves thinking, I am this body, aham. And because I have this particular, and I have this body in this particular place, this is my country, Mameti, I and mine. And this is going on. I am American, I am Indian, I am German, I am this, I am that. This is my country. I shall sacrifice everything for my country and society. So, in this way, the illusion increases. Under this illusion, when he dies, he gets another body. It may be a superior body or an inferior body, according to his karma, according to his actions. Right? If someone, one time I asked one boy, he was, what is this? Very much into how you say, Desh Bhakti. He was very much into saying that India is my homeland. I will die for India. India is everything. So I said, okay, fine, that's great, very nice. I just ask you a question because he was criticizing all the neighboring countries. So I said, ask you a question. Let's say, in next life, you born as one of the people from the other side of the country. I told him Pakistan. What will you do? Will you like India or will you like Pakistan? He said, I will like Pakistan wherever I am born. That is my country. I love that place which I born. So I said, in this life, you're saying Hindustan, Hindustan. In next life, you'll say Pakistan, Pakistan. He said, yes, this is my pride. I said, it's foolishness, man. Okay. So, so if he gets a superior body, that is also an entanglement. And he goes to the heavenly planets. Because even the heavenly planets, a material place, Swarga is a material place where this kind of same bodily consciousness is there. The devatas, the demigods, they are always very afraid that the demons are going to come to take their position. The asuras, the demons, they are always very afraid the devas are going to come to take over their position, or take over their place, destroy them. Like this, both of them are always in fear and competition. But if he becomes a cat or dog, then his life is lost. Or a tree, there is every chance of it, Prabhupada is saying. So if one gets into lower species, then gone. One is reset into negative, Again, you have to work your way up the spiritual evolutionary cycle. So this science is not known to the world, Prabhupada says, how the soul is transmigrating from one body to another and how he is being entrapped in different types of bodies. Since this science is unknown, Prabhupada is saying. So the science of soul, right? Reincarnation, karma is all very important to understand. It's the basics of understanding who we are, not being entangled by Indian, male, female, whatever, right? The real understanding is soul, karma, and reincarnation. These three things have to be understood. In the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was lamenting, how can I kill my brother or my grandfather on the other side? So Arjuna came in the battlefield. When he saw all his relatives, he became actually disturbed. And he was telling Krishna, how can I do it? He was simply thinking on the basis of bodily concept of life. But when he could not solve his problems, he surrendered to Krishna and accepted him as a spiritual master. And when Krishna became his spiritual master, he chastised Arjuna in the beginning. Okay. So Krishna scolds Arjuna in these words. Asochan anvasocastvam pragyavadam cha bhashashe gatasum agatasum cha nanu sochanti pandita. You are talking like a learned man. Asochan pragyavadam. You're speaking very learned words, but you're a fool number one. Why? Because you are talking about the bodily concept of life. So sex life increases the bodily concept of life. Therefore, the whole process is to reduce it to nil. So then Bob asked a question. To reduce it over the stages of your life, that means slowly staggering at points, we actually should reduce this attachment. So Srila Prabhupada says, yes, reduce it. A boy is trained as a student to up to the age of 25, restricting sex life. That means actually brahmacharya begins from 5 years old to 25 years old. 20 years of understanding sense control and living a very powerful life. This was the Vedic system, no? Today's day and age, we all modern day brahmacharis, right? We joined the ashram after 25, right? But the traditional system is that at 5 years old, the child or the boy is sent for training and lives a very independent, systematic, disciplined life. After 25, if he studies his heart and he still feels that, no, I have a little desire, I still, would like to settle down, no problem, then get married. So brahmachari, 20 years of training. So some of the boys remain Naishtika brahmachari. After 25, they realize that I'm happy in this life. It suits me. I have no desires. They can continue lifelong celibacy. Because they are given an education and they become fully conversant with spiritual life, they don't want to marry. They have no desire. They understand it fully. And there are some who at the age of 25 feel that I've heard all this, but still I would like to experience it. Nothing wrong. Nothing wrong. Facility is there. Please take up Grihastha life. So the sad thing about our situation today is that no one is exposed or no one understands these options in life. All right. That how a person is supposed to be trained, what is the goal of life. All of us think that the goal of life is just to earn money, enjoy the senses, and die. It's a very sad thing, sad goal of life. But actually, there's a higher goal of life to come out of this world, to develop yourself, to improve your character, to become sense controlled, to become focused. Prabhupada says, and even if they do marry, sex life is restricted. So the brahmachari boy who becomes a 25 years old chooses to become a grahastha because of his 20 years of training, he is sense controlled. He knows when to do, what to do, how to do, everything is controlled, right? So here they write sex life is restricted because there are rules even for grahastha ashram. For example, um, sexual intercourse is only for pregnancy. After the wife is pregnant, nothing. Right? After some months of delivery, nothing. So once one disciple of Srila Prabhupada was saying to Prabhupada that what is the frequency for a couple to engage in sexual activities? Prabhupada says you can try for a child once a month. So he was like, okay. And when the wife is pregnant, say nothing at all. When she's pregnant, nothing at all, Prabhupada says. So then the devotee said, Acha, okay. So around 10 months. Prabhupada says, no, another 2-3 months after her recovery and nursing the child and all. So practically once in 14 months. And the devotee is like, one in 14, 15 months. Only once in 14 months. Better just to forget the whole thing. Prabhupada says, exactly. Right? This is a Vedic system. But the basic principle is that one cannot have sex life without being married. So there's a purpose for it, licensing. Therefore, in human society, there is marriage, not in animal society. Marriage is meant to regulate. This is your wife, this is your husband. You have desires, okay, with each other at least, to keep society sane. But Prabhupada says people are gradually descending from the human society to animal society. Animal society, there's no marriage. Sometimes even within brother, sister, from our vision, we see that this dog and this dog is brother and sister, mother and child, mother's daughter and father. But from the animal point of view, they have no distinctions of such. Once they grow big, it is fair game, right? Mother, father, brother, sister, everything. They have no relationships like they do it anywhere, anytime, anyhow. So it's no restriction. So animal life is that, no restriction. Human life, restriction. They are forgetting marriage. That is also predicted in the Shastras. Dampatye biruchir hetu. In Kali Yuga, the present age, eventually there will be no marriage. And boy and girl will simply agree to live together. That's live in relationships. And their relationship will exist on sexual power. As long as my desires for sexual intimacy is being fulfilled, I'll remain with you. The moment that is frustrated, divorce or separation or breakup, right? Boy and girl comes together just because of enjoying sex life. That is the main reason. And they covered it, sugarcoat it by saying it's love. This is our love. There's no love. This is lust actually. If a man and a woman is deficient in sex life, then there is divorce. So for this philosophy, there are many Western philosophers like Freud, so Sigmund Freud, right? And others who have written so many books who advocate sex life. But according to Vedic culture, we are interested in sex only for begetting children. That's all. Not the study of psychology of sex life. There's nothing there to study. So we can here clearly see how Vedic culture is a very clean culture, how is a very top culture, how is a very distinguished culture, respectful culture, compared to any other culture that we see in today's age, which has only one emphasis, right, on physical enjoyment, sexual enjoyment. And if you say you don't want to get married, they'll be aghast. What? You don't want? God has given us these bodies to enjoy. No, God has given us these bodies to achieve self-realization. There is already natural psychology for that. Even if one does not read any philosophy, he is sexually inclined. Nobody taught it in the schools and colleges. Everyone already knows how to do it. Prabhupada laughs. So this is a sad thing today, that today people are talking about sex education. This is a need. You need to teach people. But we have discussed it many people and seen in many schools where this is taught. Actually, the children become more promiscuous. Right? Prabhupada is saying such things did not need to be taught. It's natural, people will understand, right? Elders are there to guide, and this it will happen by somehow or other. One need not go into sexual education to speak about this and contraceptives and give them all the funny options and all these kind of things which confuse the people and increase their promiscuity at a very immature age. That is a general tendency, but education should be given to stop it. Right? When you talk about sexual education, this chapter we are reading is the correct sexual education which should be given. Right? The purpose to regulate it, not the details, but the purpose to stop it. So Prabhupada is saying we are not against sex education, no problem. But what the content is a problem. Your content is agitating, your content is exposing and giving immature people just promiscuity and just going into the dirty details. But Shastra sex education is understanding the reality of things. What is going to happen? The relationship is going to create all these extra things and it's going to bind you to selfishness and self-centeredness. This is real education purposes. Education to stop it, how to come out of this. Bob, in America at present, there is a radical concept. Robert says, well, in America, there are so many things that require reformation. So he's saying that, what you are speaking, Prabhupada, to implement in America, it's just too radical, out of this world. What America? The whole world today, even in India, it will become a radical concept. Prabhupada says so many things require reformation, and this Krishna conscious movement will bring that. I went to your country and saw that the boys and girls were living like friends, living relationship. So I said to my students, you cannot live together as friends. You must get yourself married because marriage means responsibility. This living in relationship is facility without responsibility, right? People just wants to enjoy, but what happens? There's so much heartache, so much used. A person feels psychologically feels so used and abused. They feel very lowly about themselves. They are being passed on from hand to hand, room to room, place to place, like a commodity. Where is the respect? Where is the self-respect? So marriage is a very respectful thing, right? That at least a person comes together legally, responsibly to regulate their desires. Nothing wrong. Bob continues to say, many people see that even marriage is not sacred. So they find no desire to marry. They're saying marriage, people are having affairs and people are doing divorce and cheating. They're not interested in it. They see that often people get married and if things not proper, then they get divorced so easily. Therefore, many people feel that to get married is not meaningful. What's the point of getting married? Anyways, we can just enjoy a relationship now, physical relationship now. Why to get married and complicate things? Prabhupada said that's the problem. Srila Prabhupada replies, their idea is that marriage is for legalized prostitution. Like I said, why people get married? Because they have lust or they want to enjoy physically to each other. So they feel that marriage is just legalizing prostitution. They think that, but that is not marriage. Right? Marriage is not just for sexual union. So people in the outside world, they get married thinking that, okay, anyways, why to get married? We were having sex before, we can have sex now. What's the point? Let's not get married. So they're thinking that marriage is legalized prostitution. It's so much headache to marry. Let's not get married only. But actual purpose for marriage is not legalizing prostitution or not just to, facilitate sex life, but marriage is about a union, about two people who need each other's help to come forward in spiritual life. Therefore, if a husband, wife, and the family are not progressing spiritually, it is a home like animals where everyone is just living to enjoy senses. The family is not moving forward individually or collectively. They are not advancing in spiritual life. So Prabhupada says, even there was a Christian paper. What is that? So Sham Sundar says, Watchtower. Watchtower is a Christian magazine. Srila Prabhupada, Watchtower. It has criticized that one priest has allowed a marriage between two men, homosexuality. So these things are all going on. Now in today's day and age, this is like a, big thing that is going on. LGBTQ and all that. So why then are we against all this? What is this? So the simple fact is, two people who want to come together, if it is based on sex, just physical enjoyment, then that's wrong. Two people should come together to help each other to progress spiritually. People are taking to marriage purely for prostitution, Prabhupada says. That is all. So therefore, people are thinking, what is the use of keeping a regular prostitute at such heavy expenditure? My God, better not to have this. Right? Why get married, maintain a wife just to enjoy my senses? Better have live-in relationships and I can change the woman or when I like, be enjoy free. So Sham Sundar says, he reminds Prabhupada, you use that example of cow in the market. Prabhupada says, yes. When milk is available in the marketplace, what is the use of keeping a cow? Everyone starts to laugh. Right? Because this is what people have made today's institution of marriage to be. Just a facility, a formal facility, a legal facility, just because they wanted to enjoy physically with each other. It is very abominable condition in the Western countries. I have seen it. Here also in India, gradually it is coming. There is 1970s, it is already there. Therefore, we have started this Krishna conscious movement to educate people in the essential principles of spiritual life. It is not a sectarian movement, religious movement. It is a cultural movement for everyone's benefit. So very beautiful discussion, important discussion. The purpose, the sanctity, the sacredity of marriage. Marriage is meant for people who have desires and they want to exhaust the desires. Couples should come together, both helping each other to elevate, not degrading each other, right? In the name of traveling, fashion, eating here, eating there, moving around, visiting this place, taking this holiday, taking that holiday. That does not amount to anything, right? The main goal is they should help people, help their family to develop spiritually. And this way they can remove their desires. Else, they are just pouring fuel on the fire, igniting their desires. And very soon, in future, when they become frustrated with each other, then they'll just look for other partners. And therefore, there's so much infidelity. There's so much extramarital affairs. Why? Because the family was not orientated towards spiritual development. Naturally, 100% sure over time, there will be infidelity. Okay, so like this, we end the second chapter about Varna ashram and especially about marriage and sex life and its role in Vedic culture. So we'll end here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.